Welcome, everybody, to the Thinning Out Loud podcast with your hosts, Dan, that's me, and Liam.
Hi, my name's Liam.
Here we talk about games, movies, and stuff that generally takes our fancy in the world. This podcast is going to be about everything we took away from E3, which just happened over the last week. We're going to just go in order of the conferences that happened over the week of everything that happened. So we're going to start off with EA. No, not. I'll do a little recap of EA. They did a new IP of Anthem just at the tail end of their conference. They dropped a whole half an hour of Star Wars Battlefront 2, which, in all honesty, really dragged out the conference. It kind of made it a pain to watch at the end of it. A Way Out looked really good. They're sponsoring that from a little developer who made what was that? Was it
Brothers.
Yes.
Brothers.
A big, well, not a big game, but a very well received game. So that
Yep.
looks very cool. It's couch. Well, it's aimed at couch co-op, but it's going to be online co-op, but mainly couch co-op, as the producer said. Looks very interesting. Very keen to give that a jam. They also announced Need for Speed, which it looks very cool in my opinion. It looks like a bit of a Fast and Furious kind of thing.
Yep, I was about to say the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
From the one trailer, or half a trailer, I can't remember.
Yeah. I'm hoping customization is going to be a bit better than their last Need for Speed game. That I felt that was a bit shallow in terms of customization. Battlefield 1 got some new maps and some DLC from the Russians. That looks pretty hardcore. Some more stealthiness kind of going into that game. Looks pretty cool.
And then the usual sports.
Yeah, and then they did their sports kind of games, which I mean, probably the more core kind of, I don't know, Xbox fans or sort of things like that. I don't know. People just in general like those. I can't stand them myself. But anyway,
Me neither.
And then we moved on to Microsoft, which is a big conference for us. In the way of, Liam is a fanboy of Xbox, and yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I am in the firmly in the Sony party. So we have some battles sometimes, but we're both fairly open-minded to a degree. But there'll always be some kind of biasing towards. Major announcement from Xbox was the new Scorpio console, which got its actual name, Xbox One X. What do you think of the name?
Sort of stands for the normal sort of Xbox reasoning for the name.
Yeah.
I think
it's definitely planting itself pretty heavily as in my mind, it's definitely an incremental system. It does a big overhaul on power, I know, but the fact that they're calling it Xbox One X means that it's inside the Xbox family. I know you stand fairly on the other side of that. Your reasoning behind why
they picked the name?
Or why it doesn't make it an incremental system?
Because it's such a sort of a leap forward from the previous original Xbox One and the One S. It just does a bit better than what the previous ones did, and it just opens it up more. And as Phil Spencer said in an interview, it's meant to be the top tier one. If people still want to keep the Xbox One, that's fine. If they want to go move up slightly to the One S, it's fine. If they move to premium console, which is the One X, people are more than happy to. He's quite happy if people just stay on the original Xbox One for forever and a day.
Yeah.
So that gives people options if they want to go for the top tier sort of console with a 4K TV, HDR TV, all that sort of thing. Yeah. Just gives people options to do that.
Yes.
Which is good, I suppose. Options are always good.
They released the price, which was $4.99 US. A fairly standard price that we've seen new consoles coming out at. It seems like that's the safe bet for what they're going to be doing for pricing.
Which in New Zealand dollars translates to about $749.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
being in New Zealand
It's
sometimes. It's
definitely
annoying.
definitely an expensive console, but again, it's something that fairly expected price point. I think if they had gone too much higher, I think
Would
it
have
would have
sucked.
been it wouldn't have sold. Um,
Indeed.
I think their maximum was probably about 600, so another $100 that they could have gone maybe, and maybe survived. But I think they definitely chose the safe bet with the 499.
Yep.
Do we get a release date?
Yeah, November 7th
November 7th. Okay.
this year.
This year, so it's a pretty good date. A lot of new games kind of coming out around that time that I'm sure will look better on Xbox One X.
Yep. They even said they're doing a whole bunch of updates for other games, like The Witcher 3 is getting a PS4 Pro and an Xbox One sort of 4K update.
Heaps of games.
Just a lot of them.
You had Skyrim, you had Final Fantasy 15,
Yep.
you had just a buttload of different
Minecraft
games.
even.
Minecraft even getting a 4K patch for that content. And I got to admit, when they showed the Minecraft demo, that texture pack that they put on really stood out to me. I really like the look of it. It really did a nice feeling of making it feel more new and current.
Yep.
I like the idea of the crossplay.
But not to all systems. That
Yes.
crossplay will only work on the PC, the Switch, and the Xbox, because Sony and PlayStation 4 are being stubborn and dragging the feet over it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're both separate console companies. They're not going to play nicely.
No.
So I think it probably would be more on Sony's side that they'd be putting up some kind of front. But I think there'd still be some kind of reluctance from from Microsoft to actually let them do that straight away. Anyway.
No, I read an interview. Sorry to interrupt you. I read an interview from the guys who did Rocket League, that little crazy car game. Apparently, they have the system in place to, when Sony says yes, you can do the crossplay, they have a system in place where they flip a switch and they allow crossplay across both consoles.
So it's literally just a switch. So it is all
for them.
Sony.
Yes,
Okay,
it's literally down to Sony saying no. Although the weird thing is, Sony has said in the past that they're open to the idea, but they're dragging the feet now for whatever reason. So
I'm sure there'd be some kind of petty reason in there.
Yeah, the petty reason is this: that they apparently in the Sony bubble, they want to be child friendly, and they're protecting all the little children who play Minecraft because Sony's apparently child friendly and Xbox is not, which seems counterintuitive because Xbox is also run by Microsoft, which is the biggest PC company one of the biggest PC companies on the planet. So you'd think they'd be more child protective than Sony would be, who's only sort of done games. So a weird reason.
Yeah, and I think that's down to the custom, which we haven't touched on yet, but the custom maps and servers and all that kind of thing that can be added into the new games, or not the new games, sorry, the Minecraft game that's already on the consoles. I hope that really does come to PlayStation. I'm really hoping it is, because I've been wanting to play custom maps for a long time on my PlayStation. It's been something that I've been I've been neglecting Minecraft for a long time, just because I really do want to play those extra maps. We also got some PUBG news. It's definitely coming to Xbox this year. Didn't get any idea of new maps or anything like that, but still a good amount of news from PUBG, just saying that they're going to come out at the end of the year. Metro looks...
Metro Exodus.
Yeah, what did you think of the trailer? That looked pretty cool. Did they say that was all in-game trailer, or was it...
I don't remember seeing a in-game tag popping up for it, but yeah, it looks good. It looks good. I haven't played too much of the Metro series, to be perfectly honest.
Neither have I, but this one looks enticing.
Yeah.
Is Metro a Microsoft license, or is that?
I do not believe so. I believe you can get it on pretty much anywhere. Let me have a look. See.
Have a little look. The gameplay for that it looked very interesting. Very stealthy. Very.
You can get it everywhere.
You can get it everywhere. Okay, cool.
Might be a console launch exclusive to Xbox, but as Phil Spencer said in his interview, that console launch means it's coming to the Xbox first,
Yes.
but it's up to the developer if they want to
Go
put it on
elsewhere.
PlayStation, Switch,
Yeah.
wherever. It's up to the developer. He's not putting like a gun to the developers. He's saying no, Xbox only, because he actually wants games on sort of everywhere.
Yeah.
Wants people to play all the games. So
Um,
yeah.
yeah, lots of zombie animals and scary things to fight. Big bear
Yep.
came out at the end, which is pretty cool. I'm a little bit disappointed you didn't get to see the bear fall off the cliff.
It's sort of
you,
loses grip.
you
But
saw her losing his grip, but it would have been cool if they had have jumped onto the rope glide thingy, turned around, and you saw the bear kind of fall off the cliff. It would have been just kind of cool, in my opinion. But that's fine. It's nothing big. Explosive arrows
yep.
was a interesting thing for that crossbow though. That looked pretty cool. Different kinds of ammos. It was weird though. Like the actual reloading, um, animation looked very long and looked very like you're gonna have to plan your shots very very carefully. Even when at the very beginning when they were just doing the in the cave and everything, all the kind of animations were very very painstaking. It was very very tense just because of how long everything takes.
Yeah, that's the thing about Metro. It's meant to be as realistic as really possible. I mean, in that game, you have a gas mask, and if the gas mask breaks, you start taking damage because radioactive air will start poisoning your lungs, and you'll eventually die.
Yeah.
So, and also the fact in the first two games, I don't know about this one, bullets were extremely rare. Like normal bullets, like the say the 7.74 bullets we use in most modern military weapons, they're extremely rare in the Metro universe.
Yeah.
So a lot of they use it as a currency to a point.
Oh, right.
So a lot of people use like knockoff bullets to shoot. Right. They cost like they're made from scraps and stuff like that.
More crafting sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We also had Life is Strange, but no, I don't care about that kind of shit.
Never do I. Move on.
We had Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which I'm super excited for. I do like a good fighting game, and I haven't played a good Dragon Ball Z fighting game in a long time. That looks really, really good. We also had Forza 7 and revealed 4K 60 frames. Looks pretty
Which
cool.
no one was surprised by because it's Forza and Xbox go hand in hand.
Exactly. Especially with new consoles.
Indeed. Especially like how they had the new Porsche on the stage as well.
Yeah,
fastest road car. Fastest Porsche ever, I think.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. The little tease with the... Although I should have been a kind of a car a bit more stunning than a Porsche 911. Like maybe did like a Porsche concept car. That would have been kind of cool.
So it looked exactly like every other Porsche on the face of the planet except in concept.
It did. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Porsche doesn't change their cars. They keep the same.
Because their concept cars can be pretty crazy, but their actual cars are all the same. What else do we get? We got Assassin's Creed Origins. We got a gameplay of that.
Yep.
It was good gameplay. Of course, the Ubisoft drone made an appearance of the eagle flying around.
Yep.
It had to be in there. I mean, it's in every single Ubisoft game recently.
Wow.
So
yeah, and then the recent ones before that they didn't have any sort of drone.
It was only like, it's weird how it's fueled by like the real world. Like they make drones in real life, and now they're in like every single game out there in the world. It's crazy. You think they'd be doing it the other way around or something like that. You know how like Star Trek, like created the self-opening doors. You know, like they actually got the idea from a Star Trek episode. So you'd think it would be that way around, where they create something in a game and it comes out in real life, but no, it's the other way around.
Well, to be fair, Star Trek never invented the cell phone either. But hey, what do we have? Well, that's more prevalent technology now than anything before cell phones. Yeah. So
we also saw Crackdown 3. That was a little bit more gameplay. I still haven't got the click for that game yet. I don't see what all the hype is.
It'll be much the same as the previous ones, where you sort of race around a city, blowing stuff up and getting experience for it, and your character will morph depending on what abilities you use.
Yeah, I mentioned this to you when we were watching the actual conference, but it looks a lot like Agents of Mayhem or the what's the other name of that series?
Do you mean Saints Row?
Yes, so it just looks like a bit like Saints Row. Just in
well, to be fair, I think Crackdown predates Saints Row.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's just kind of like another one of those, And I mean, that's cool. I mean, they've got their place.
Yeah, well, Crackdown's always been a much more sort of serious in tone, even in the graphics,
Yeah.
like 2D shaded,
Yeah.
cel shaded. Whereas Saints Row has always been very sort of grim, a lighter tone. It's always been a lot more funny, but it's always been gallows humor. So
yeah, we also
I
got.
like how Terry Crews popped up in the Crackdown 3 thing. I thought that was quite funny.
What? Sorry.
How Terry Crews popped up for Crackdown 3.
Yes, that was hilarious. That was
yeah,
he was
really
pretty
funny. Apparently, he
I
broke the
forgot
suit
about that.
when they were actually doing it.
Oh, I bet. You cannot.
Yeah, with his
contain
massive
that, man.
gums.
Yeah,
So.
you can't contain that, man. Black Desert Online, it's an MMORPG. Get an Xbox console launch, that'd be pretty cool. It's pretty big online in terms of following wise. But yeah, it gets updated fairly regularly, which I quite like the look of, which is quite nice. And then the big show of the big bomb drop was the Anthem reveal.
Yep.
Other than obviously the Scorpio announcement, because EA had teased it obviously in the conference beforehand, but the Anthem gameplay that was revealed at the Microsoft conference was actually really impressive. I really like the look of it. It does look a bit like Destiny 2 or Destiny or whatever, but I think they're kind of going for that, and they're trying to expand on it a little bit more, which is very exciting and very interesting to me.
Yeah, I wonder if Anthem, if they're trying to be a direct competition to Destiny and make sort of like a Destiny killer. Not that Destiny is its own sort of juggernaut nowadays.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to try and capture that lightning in the bottle again with a different game.
Yep. One thing that really amazed me, if you watch in the gameplay trailer, I'll put it up a little bit now, is that when the person takes off from the city to go off into the forest, you can fly in quite a long distance. Like the map actually looks huge, and it's not like Destiny where they said you could go to that one tree on that one mountain and never could. It looks like they've planned things for each area, and then the person flies out and then dives directly down and then goes into the forest that way, which I thought was interesting because they're not showing the entire map, or like it seems like it's going to be huge because you go into this little tunnel or this forest area and it just goes on and on and on. It's just insane about how big this game is, about how much is going on in this world and all this kind of thing. So very exciting. Very, very excited about this game. Of course, this is we're doing this a couple days after E3 is all kind of closed down and all that kind of thing. We've been seeing some backlash, definitely, about BioWare's new IP. A lot of things being thrown around, like tanking games and all this kind of stuff. And I just think, I don't think that's completely true. But I definitely think that they are putting a big, big emphasis on this new IP.
Yeah. Kotaku's Jason Schreier, whatever his name is.
He's very, very well known.
Yeah, he did a sort of expose piece on Andromeda and how apparently they didn't actually have a story book for that game till like a year and a half out, and how one of the other BioWare studios was sort of poaching staff from Montreal, where I think Andromeda was made, and putting them into Edmonton, which I now suspect was probably working on Anthem now. So I'm sure there's always, and I don't know anything about game development, I imagine there's always shuffling of staff around, getting people with certain skill sets in one field, moving to another studio and vice versa and all that. So, and from the sounds of it, it seems like BioWare's trying to push the blame on everything else except, their sort of
course,
work.
And they would have to as well. I mean, there's no way they can admit to that kind of tanking of a series like that.
Yeah.
That's about it. That was kind of the final thing that they announced at Microsoft, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, well, the new things here, but the digital Sea of Thieves, which
are
hard meh from me.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more of State of Decay 2, which I've sort of played the first one. I've done maybe half of it. It's looks much the same.
Yeah.
Same sort of graphics and all that. It's got permadeath, which the first one had anyway, so it's like,
Yeah.
And don't know if I actually do anything about it. So,
All right. So we'll move straight on to Bethesda, and
Bethesda.
yes, Bethesda. We were welcomed very warmingly to Bethesda Land, which,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, was a complete flop. The weird kind of intros that they had to sizzle reels and all that kind of thing, with
Yep.
the dude talking about a made up adventure park, dragged on. And the thing
Yeah.
is, it was a very short conference, and it felt very, very underwhelming, and like it
Yep.
was taking ages. Um,
Yep.
they opened with a sizzle reel, and then they went on to a VR presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Actually, both doing Skyrim and Fallout 4 in VR now.
yes, Skyrim
So
and Fallout 4. Well,
yeah, it looked
Skyrim,
odd.
yeah, yeah. The the,
It looked
the, the
odd.
bow and arrow firing looked really, really weird. Looked janky
Yeah.
as,
Yeah.
and the aiming and kind of throwing stuff around. I don't know if they've optimized it completely or whatever, but yeah. And they've also got
Maybe it
Doom.
looks. Yeah. Maybe it looks different. Maybe the VR looks different when you're actually in a VR headset.
Yeah.
Maybe it just looks weird when you're watching a video on a
Yeah.
flat screen and not sort of VR on your
So
eyes.
I noticed in the Doom VR or VFR, sorry, they had teleporting movement, which
Mm-hmm.
I still can't get behind. And Fallout was controller-based movement, so toggles and all that kind of thing. Which apparently, I have not used VR myself. I have not been invited to do anything like that, and I haven't been able to see much in the way of it. But I've just been waiting for a big game to come out with VR, and I think this is one of the ones that will really push it into the real kind of space. The controller-based movement apparently can create movement sickness just because your body is not moving when your eyes are feeling movement.
Right.
So it could be interesting for, and of course Fallout 4 is a very, like, you play that game for hours at a time.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of response they get from that.
Yep.
We got
New
into,
Wolfenstein.
sorry,
New Wolfenstein,
New
which is a
Wolfenstein.
sequel to the previous one.
Yes. It looks really good. I definitely interested in that. The trailer again was kind of threw me off at the beginning.
Yep.
With the weird little what was the name of it? Lacelle, something like that.
Yeah, the giant
The
robot
giant robot
dog.
dog that almost killed people. What did I think of that game? It had weird gremlin cats in it. Had fat jokes about pregnant women. An armored suit. The armored suit looked pretty cool. But again, it's another exosuit kind of game. And weapon wielding looked pretty cool. But yeah, what did you think of that one?
Wolfenstein as a whole is never really great to me. It looked good, looked okay. The story, I don't know anything about the story. The gameplay looks solid though.
Yeah.
Solid for a first-person shooter.
Yeah. What else was there? There was an Evil Within, 2 gameplay. That looked scary as fuck, and I'm not
Yep.
overly interested in that kind of thing.
Nope.
My girlfriend's more interested in scary kind of games. She's played
Yep.
a little bit of the first one, but I don't think she really got into the whole thing. They're doing Quake Champions Esports League. It looks like, I've been told, I've never really played Quake myself. Very fast paced, and that game is very fast paced. They announced a world championship right there and then, which is quite cool. They're already planning all that kind of stuff. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it looks like your sort of standard Quake sort of gameplay, and your standard sort of original Doom multiplayer gameplay. It's always been like, same with Unreal Tournament and Unreal Championship and all that. It's always been sort of very rapid, fast-paced, sort of run around like a maniac trying to not die. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Call of Duty players, if they'll gravitate towards Quake Champions and if they'll be successful, or if they'll just like eat shit and die constantly. Same with the Halo players.
Exactly.
So one of the things we'll get like a new type of esports player coming through with the different sort of skill set.
Yeah, exactly. It's very different to the looks of COD and Battlefield and that kind of thing. More akin to, I think it felt a little bit like very early Halo sort of thing. I don't know. I've
Well,
never really played
no.
Quake.
Halo always had shields, and it's very sort of slow and plodding. original multiplayer was, and you just have slightly faster.
Yeah.
Not that I've
What
played.
else we get? Got a bit more Elder Scrolls Online. Some Morrowind stuff going out. Not really big on that one.
Nope.
Mods, you can now pay for mods, which, I mean, on the Nexus Mod Manager, there was always an ability to kind of donate to that kind of thing. I don't think this is going to take off, paying for mods and that kind of thing. What do you think?
Yeah, they've tried it before, and it
Yeah.
just sort of failed because everybody got in an uproar about it. So it's like,
Oh,
but it's apparently it's curated by Bethesda, so it's stuff
Right.
that they like and that they're gonna push, and you pay for credits, which is apparently not the same as real money. So
Right. Yeah,
however that works.
there's so much like what would you call it? Like content quality management, that needs to go into it. You can't just pay $5 for a new skin of something and it be janky and break your game sort of thing. So they have to definitely look after that kind of stuff. Nintendo got Skyrim, which we all knew was coming. And the twist on that is that they announced a Link costume and sword for the game. Whenever I didn't say quite if you get it as long as you have the amiibo, but it looked that way.
Yep,
which is
they didn't.
it was interesting. It's got movement controls, so you can fling your sword around and bow and arrow.
And lock your Switch controller for a window, or into the TV, one of the two.
Yep, you gotta wear those wrist straps. That's very important. Where do we go? My final. I wrote down some final thoughts about the show after it finished, and they were: why bother? Shit show. Conference is weird. Someone talked only twice. Yeah, it was a very short show. I don't know why like I said, why did they bother? It just didn't seem like something they had to do. They could have just announced gameplay trailers and saved themselves a whole lot of money and time than creating this weird conference. I know they've done it for the last 2 years, and those last 2 years were fucking amazing, but they just went so far backwards in this last 2017 one.
The last two, they sort of announced, like the previous one announced Fallout 4, which everyone was like wanting, so yay. And then the previous one, the last year's one, they announced Skyrim Remastered or Legend Edition or whatever they call it, and that was nuts because there's this sort of two sort of tentpole franchises, so everyone loved that. But they didn't announce any sort of new Fallout or Elder Scrolls games, so sort of because they didn't seem to all the other games are sort of like their sort of second tier games, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to the next one, which is Ubisoft. So, Ubisoft, of course, they had their standard kind of things.
Yep, they had a Watchmen flick from Nintendo coming over, and they're doing the Mario and Rabbids Kingdoms Battle crossover weird game.
It looked very cool. As a tactics game, as a game that you can take on like portably with you for like playing during lunchtime or on the train or on the plane or whatever you kind of do. It looks very, very cool. It looks like a good tactics game, like a very callback to kind of Final Fantasy Tactics or XCOM and that kind of thing, where you can kind of plan out your moves and do special moves and very kind of tactical.
I wonder, is it like a console game or is it on the Switch?
I don't think they would ever bring Mario to anything other than Nintendo.
Yeah, so it probably is on the Switch.
Yeah, I'd say it would be just on the Switch. I don't think. I mean, I know.
Yeah,
that
Nintendo
Ubisoft,
Switch is
yeah,
first release.
yeah. I couldn't imagine. Miyamoto-san letting them take Mario to another console. He did talk for a very long time. I noticed that it was kind of an awkward kind of phase of the conference. And then they started talking about the relationship, but it seemed like they were kind of brushing a lot of the kind of actual bad stuff that happened between them under the carpet quite a lot. And they gave each other a couple of awkward looks, which was very funny. I
was thinking, don't say the bad stuff, Exactly, that didn't happen. Ignore it.
Yeah. And I mean, because like obviously like Mario, Rabbids or whatever is going to be on the
Switch.
Thank you. The graphics actually look really, really good. They look really clean and tidy. And yeah, like the gameplay just looked really nice. And that's actually out really soon. It's out in August 29th, so it's pretty cool. They moved on to, they're probably actually the conference that had the most actual dates for their products, which is interesting. A lot of people were saying not even giving release dates and all that kind of thing. Sony and Microsoft both did that quite a lot. They had The Crew 2, which we saw the addition of planes and boats, which is interesting. I mean, they can't code fucking driving for shit, so I don't know why they'd try flying and surfing the waves. I mean, it's just kind of, the cars and The Crew 1 felt like butter. All of them felt ridiculous.
Yeah, very, very floaty those, and like you turn and it might as well just been a suggestion. It might turn or it might not turn.
Exactly.
A wild bit of a guess.
And they also announced track racing, where you can actually go onto an actual track and do racing like that, rather than just open world stuff. They got a deal with Porsche to be in the game, which is interesting that Porsches are now allowing their cars to be used in a lot of games, unlike they used to be. Graphics are still pretty good looking, but it's going to be a huge open world, so I still don't know. It's still, I'll be interested in getting on the beta. I haven't signed up for that. Push to do that as soon as possible. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it being insanely different.
Nope, pretty much the same. Lots of driving.
We also had a Assassin's Creed Origins trailer. We got a different trailer from the original one that we got at Microsoft. Got to see some chariot racing possibly in this one, and the trailer kind of took a bit of a slow turn, but so it wasn't overly action packed.
They did a gameplay demo afterwards,
after the actual conference, which I didn't bother
which
watching.
I watched afterwards. It does look pretty good, although it was pre-alpha graphics.
Yeah, right.
So I got to put that in there. So it didn't look great, but the mechanics were pretty solid. The interesting thing is they got rid of the watchtower points, so you no longer climb up a tower to view the world. That's so it unlocks as you wander around.
Right.
So
that's pretty interesting. I guess everyone's doing that now, so they kind of like having to find a new thing.
Yeah, and Far Cry 5 did it as well. They've got no more sort of tower, radio towers you have to climb up to.
I guess Horizon did it the best, so you gotta let them have it.
Right, with the giant walking robots.
Yeah, exactly. What else?
That's a good segue into Far Cry 5. They showed some of that.
Far Cry 5, yes, they did show a decent chunk of Far Cry 5, actually, a decent little bit. You've got a dog.
Yeah, that's part of the guns for hire, so you can either hire the dog, the pilot, or the sniper to fight alongside you and clear out parts of the world.
Exactly, I made a prediction in my pre E3 stuff, which didn't go up, but that there'd be swearing, and like the third word that came out of the presenter's mouth was a swear word, so I was pretty happy with that prediction. And I like the fact that the dog actually picks up guns and brings them to you. Did you notice that? It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he attacked a person and ripped the gun out of their hands.
So it was really good.
Directed over to the player character, and player character shot him.
I like that they involved a little bit of story in with it as well. You could hear a guy yelling about reaping souls, and that souls don't reap themselves. And obviously this cult that is occupying this town is actually...
hang on, it's not a town, it's an entire region. Hope County doesn't exist. Okay. They've made it completely. And that guy is, I think it's Joseph Seed or something like that. And he's like a head of this cult where they're trying to essentially bring people to revelation and trying to save their souls by any means necessary, even if the person doesn't want to be saved, so to speak. So, trying to save people.
Pretty culty, so
it is.
Hitting the nail.
Cross with militia, cross with death. Yeah, so very interesting.
We got a weird toy building game in Starlink. I think Ubisoft trying to cash in on the I don't know, the the
new listing.
trash of toys being sold with games. And by trash, I don't mean like the entire idea is bad. It was very well done, but it's kind of been done to death now, and it feels like they're only going to pick up the little kind of scraps that are left in the wake. I mean, Disney failed at it. Lego, I think, are taking a big. I think they're taking a big step out of it. They're not going to be doing too much more with it. And the only ones that are really left is the original ones, which is Skylanders, which even they are starting to see a big turn off of it. I think doing a yearly release was a bad idea. They've buttoned off the pedal this year, and they're not doing a release this year with a new game and all that kind of thing.
Not to mention the Nintendo
Amiibos, yes.
Amiibos, they're still, they're starting to slow down as well.
They are. I think they have slowed down, but I think they are the nicest toys. The Amiibos. I definitely would like to get myself some, just in terms of statues and things like that. What else did we see? We saw
Horrible Dancing and Just Dance 2018.
Horrible Dance. What year would it be without Ubisoft doing some fucking dancing thing with Just Dance?
Yep.
I don't think it'll ever happen. We saw Skull and Bones.
Yep, the new Super Secret launch.
No one knew anything about it.
Yep,
no one knew anything about it.
Yep.
It's a kind of a rip-off that it's just effectively the boat features out of Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, just taken out and put into its own game, which is a cool idea because that was some of the best parts of that game, was doing some on battles, and I really liked actually looking after my ships on my phone and then going home and kind of like testing them out and doing the missions and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You got a boat class system, so you got the big tanky boats, you got the sniper boats, and you got kind of like quick and agile boats and all that kind of thing, which is interesting.
It looks like they're just copying For Honor class system, and instead of people with swords and stuff, it's boats. So
they also teased a Kraken, which was interesting. I hope there'll be different kinds of monsters and not just a Kraken. But that looked really, really cool. I'm interested to see more of that one. I'm not sure if it'll be definitely on the buy list for myself, but it looks cool enough. And then we had Beyond Good and Evil 2, the big drop. I think it did get kind of leaked a little bit that they were doing something before, and I heard news that it had been leaked a little bit. They showed a cinematic trailer, which, I mean,
it was a very good cinematic trailer.
It was a very, very good cinematic trailer. It was very, very cool. Very smart little monkey dude, human, whatever, just jumping around and doing crazy stuff. And no gameplay or anything shown at all, which apparently it's only just being put into development. Like it's actually.
No, I don't think that's accurate. They revealed it 2 or 3 years ago, so I think they've been working on it for a little while.
Yeah, but they haven't shown anything for that long. It's been a while. It's been in the plans for a long time, and they haven't shown anything. So I don't know. I thought I'd heard something that it was only just going into proper development now. But that's all right. I could probably be wrong with that one. What else?
It doesn't sound like Andromeda.
We got South Park. Fractured Butthole. Looks very funny as usual. South Park games do. Buttholes. But again, just your standard kind of South Park game. Nothing too special there, I don't think.
Nope.
Then we move on to Sony. Good conference from Sony, of course, coming from a Sony guy. I'm gonna say that. I like. Completely unbiased, but I think they definitely had the show of the fucking E3, in my opinion. The games that they showed were just really, really good. Detroit was interesting to me because it showed different playable characters, different protagonists, kind of take on the story. I wasn't as interested in this protagonist as I was the old one. The actual cop investigator android who is having a rough time kind of fitting into the kind of very human kind of
police department.
Yeah, the police department. Thank you.
Well, it's the same as most of the other Quantic Dream's other games, they've had multiple protagonists, especially
Yes.
in Heavy Rain. You jump between 3 or 4
Yeah.
with different stories. And I didn't play Two Souls, so I don't know if that's got multiple protagonists, but that's sort of par for the course. And I'm sure there'll be like 20 different endings and 20 different ways to do every single, part or story or segment.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll make it interesting in some way. What else? I mean that game. There's not really much more to take away from it than we've seen in previous years. What else? Days Gone looked incredible. So open world zombie game.
Zombie mobs.
Big zombie mobs. Yeah. Like
so instead of dealing with like 5 or 10 in a group, you've got like 20 or 30.
Yeah, well, they were actually talking about. They were doing a test. I was in this other kind of video I watched later on. They were doing a test, and they were able to have 100 zombies on the screen and 300 dead zombies. So you're looking at like just ridiculous amounts of zombies, and all in this one big pile of zombies kind of coming at you, and it was able to be all powered with the PlayStation infrastructure. So it's going to be incredible just how much you're going to have to fight, and of course you're not going to be able to shoot all of them.
Or just run away and hide somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I did like the kind of tactical side to the game, laying traps, using stealth, using the I don't think they wanted to call it zombies, but whatever. The zombies to your advantage. They had wolves that could chase you on a motorbike, so that they can move pretty fast. Interesting encounters with other humans. You saw the main character, get taken down by a bunch of raiders, which was pretty cool. It seemed pretty fluid, like it would just happen randomly throughout the world if you weren't watching carefully. And then at the very end, of course, the big barbed wire bear, Mr. Barbed Wire Bear, showed up. Terrifying. I mean, there was a second bear we've seen in this conference. Between the two bears, Metro Bear and Mr. Barbed Wire Bear, which bear kind of freaked you out more?
Probably the Metro one, because it's probably more mutated.
Mutated, yeah. This one still looked like a bear. It just had barbed wire wrapped around it somehow, and a big piece of wood sticking out of its back. Which it seems like you probably won't be able to take it down unless maybe you have to wear it down or something, or you're probably just going to have to run away. I feel like this game is going to be very much about just running away from shit that is bad.
Yep, a lot of big things that are probably bigger than you, or a lot of mobs of zombies. You just got to run, or else you get shit on and die constantly. I feel like it'll be a lot of like trial and error until you get the right sort of motions down. Yeah,
exactly. And like
the right path.
Again, in that other kind of demo I was watching, they actually took different paths to do the same thing, which was quite interesting. A lot of games are doing that recently, where you can kind of tackle things differently, and I think it's really, really good. And Destiny 2 got a cinematic trailer. That was pretty interesting. And then you got of course the PlayStation exclusive stuff that you get with Destiny. That's cool.
Which is what a strike, a weapon set, exotic weapon, and something else. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I don't really.
That's exclusive for a full year too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of cool, but not really something that's going to pull myself into it more, even though like I'm already doing it. Like, it's not the reason why I'm sticking with PlayStation. The reason why I'm sticking with PlayStation is just because it's my console, I guess. They did have God of War there. God of War had a Thor axe that he could call to himself. There was a big giant snake that helped him out at the end of the trailer. Lots of combat kind of looking things, brutal kind of dismembering. The kid kind of, in the first trailer from 2016, it looked awesome. You know, like the trailer takes you through, and it feels very, very different, because Kratos is more being a father towards this boy and teaching him how to hunt and all this kind of stuff. And in this trailer, the boy kind of just seemed to be just another part of the game systems. It just he just seemed like dead weight. It just didn't feel intuitive to me, which was kind of sad. But the story seems interesting enough. Yeah, it's very cool. What else did we see? We did see that Horizon Zero Dawn trailer, the DLC.
Frozen Wastes.
There's been described online as the next story chapter, which is going to be interesting whether they actually release more chapters to the story and you actually get a fuller experience from the game like that.
Or if this one's a standalone adventure.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping more for the latter with that. I don't want it to kind of be you buy the initial game and then you finish the story by buying more DLC. I don't like the sound of that, and especially like is it okay to spoil? I'm not going to spoil it. The game ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, so it leads into the possibility of it being a sequel, or God forbid it being ended with DLC. So yeah, very very cool. Knack 2 was only barely shown, I think. You had Monster Hunter World, which was shown, and they actually showed a fairly lengthy gameplay for that. It wasn't overly impressive unless you kind of know what Monster Hunter is all about. I mean, Monster Hunter games on the DS and that kind of thing are just so janky. It's so hard to play. This looked very, very much more New World kind of Monster Hunter sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of the franchise, but I've never actually played it, so I can't speculate either way.
Shadow of the Colossus is getting a remake. I'm pretty excited for that. I'm hoping it's going to be really, really cool in terms of just the upraising the graphics. I hope they don't do too much in way of remaking it as such, but just kind of do a HD remix sort of thing. I'd be very okay with that. And then you had all these other kind of VR stuff and Uncharted Lost Legacy and all that kind of thing. Uncharted 4 is definitely one of the best games on PlayStation 4 at the moment. This Lost Legacy, which was story DLC turned actual game release, is cool, but also I don't understand if it's really going to be as big or as like important to the actual console. Spider-Man, on the other hand, looks very, very important. The feeling that you get that it's going to be the open world kind of thing that we loved so much out of Spider-Man 2 on PS2, that the combat is going to be very nice and actually very, very Spider-Man-y. Lots of flipping around and whipping of the wrist juices. And cool, like new ways to take people down. Like we saw him use a gadget, which was like a trip mine, which was really cool. We used them seeing environmental stuff like cranes and being able to take people down with the environment and that kind of thing. The chase scene through the city looked very, very organic, looked very, very good. The amount of quick time events in it kind of worried me a little bit, but also it fits very well into the Spider-Man kind of thing. I like that Spider-Man, like Peter Parker was like talking as well as doing the stuff. Yeah, he was talking through the whole thing, which was quite cool. Like he was freaking out about whether he was going to miss a shot or not, and it felt very Spider-Man.
Sarcastic humor. It's interesting that they put Miles Morales.
Yes, I was
in
going
there
to
as well.
touch on that.
I read an interview that said he does have a part, but they're not saying what part he has. So maybe he'll be playing both Spider people. I don't know.
Yeah,
and apparently it is a Peter Parker who's like 23 now. He's been a Spider-Man for like 8 years, and he's a scientist, and he knows what he's saying.
Rather than being a school child or anything like that, which is what we've been only really played too much of. The Miles Morales thing, I think it's going to be a very much kind of like in the Batman series games, you had the ability to you kind of saw Robin come in and have a chat and then leave kind of thing. I think it's going to be very similar. Maybe you'll be able to use him in like a similar kind of thing, maybe a arena type match or something like that, use different characters, but I don't think you'll be able to play him inside of the actual game or story. They did also announce that they're doing, I think they announced this after the actual trailer, after the actual conference, but there will be different costumes. You'll be able to collect different types of costumes for Spider-Man, which will be pretty cool.
Right. So like a original traditional one, and like the Iron
Yeah,
Spider
and
maybe,
like
and the
paper
I
bag.
don't know, maybe the Titan ones or something.
Hopefully the paper bag one makes a return. That'd be pretty cool. Um,
Spider-Man Noir,
yeah, yeah. Oh, that'd be pretty
Venom
cool.
Spider-Man.
Yep, Venom Spider-Man. I wonder if Venom will be in this game. I hope this game just has an onslaught of different villains in it. I really hope it does. I heard someone. I don't know if they just made a faux pas or anything like that, but they called the guy in the helicopter with the black negative power weird things. And they called him the main villain, and I was like, no, he can't be the main villain. This guy seems like an offshoot kind of guy, sort of thing. I don't. You probably didn't play Spider-Man 2 back in the day, but
Probably not.
yeah,
I think so.
the game main antagonist was the octopus from the movie. Like it was the same kind of thing, but outside of that, you had all your other kind of villains, like you had Shocker and the one really good one was who's the I can never quite remember what his name was. Mysterio. Crap, he had an amazing like kind of different side quest sort of thing it took you out to the what's the Statue of the Lady in New York.
Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty, and like you had to swing out there, and you had to fight him and do all this crazy stuff, and he was going giant and doing all this crazy stuff. So I'm really like the bigger universe. I mean, that they're showing a character that no one's really seen before, as this villain that they were showing in the gameplay trailer, and I hope they really dig really deep into that bag of bad guys from Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man has such a massive rogues gallery
He
of
does.
characters to pick and choose from. So
And you did see a few things like they had an Osborne sign in the like it was a billboard saying "Vote Mayor Osborne," which is interesting. So hopefully we'll get a Green Goblin. That'd be pretty cool.
a Hobgoblin.
Or a Hobgoblin. That'd be interesting. So yeah, that game is definitely pulling a lot of attention. Now, I think that's probably about it for Sony, and then we go on to Nintendo, which had a pretty good release actually. They announced a new Metroid Prime game, which I'm hoping is going to be Metroid Prime 4 Breath of the Wild. I mean, if they can give that game the same treatment that they gave Zelda and make it a completely new experience, then I think it'll do really really well. I think they need to really do a big game for Metroid. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been a while since the third one came out. So
Yeah.
why not do another Metroid? It was one of their big games back in the day. So
They had a new Kirby game announced or revealed, which was pretty cool. That looked pretty alright. And they announced Rocket League for the Switch, which again, if you can play that portably on Wi-Fi at your bus station sort of thing, or on a train, that's a great way to do it. You know, it's portable. It's taking Rocket League out of houses, which is where it has always been, and it's doing really well on those other kind of consoles. And I think it'll do really well on the Switch as well.
Yeah. Oh, why not? It's sort of could be made for that sort of thing.
Exactly.
That's the reason why it shouldn't be.
Yeah. This new Super Mario game, Odyssey, looks really good. Looks for a bit of a new kind of twist on the Mario kind of platform. We have seen 3D Mario before, obviously with old Super Mario back in the day, and then Galaxy and all that kind of thing. But this looks like an interesting kind of pull away from the tried and true formula that they've had. And speaking of pulling away from a tried and true formula, they announced that they are doing a new Pokemon game for the Switch, which is going to be exclusively for the Switch. It's going to be a RPG. It's going to be a core game, and I'm really excited. I'm really keen for a Pokemon game on a console. It's something that everyone has always wanted for ever since Pokemon ever came out.
So is it enough to make you go out and buy a Switch though?
Yes, I think if they announced it to, I've already got a pact that if they announce 10 games that I want, I will start saving for a Switch.
And how many are you at?
I'm at 7. which I'm already pretty close. But if they announced a date for Pokemon, I would probably start saving immediately. Just because that game has been on my wish list ever since I was a kid. And I'm hoping it'll have a bit of a twist on the tried and true kind of turn-based battle system. I hope it'll be a bit more fluid than the original kind of turn-based system was. I hope they do.
Yeah, but how much can you reinvent with it not being a Pokemon game? Pokemon's always been turn-based. It's always been that way, and it's always been that sort of weird top-down isometric, except for the most recent
ones. I think they'll go further over the shoulder, and I think they'll add actual Pokemon
like a
walking
third
around.
person.
Yeah, they'll add Pokemon walking around, and I think if they can just make the battle system more flamboyant, like keep it as a kind of maybe a turn-based or a time-based system, would be good. But I think just make it more flamboyant, make more things happen rather than you just sitting behind a Pokemon that's moving around waiting for you to do something, sort of thing. Give it a bit more fluidity, or just something a bit more zest to it. Because if it's like Pokemon Colosseum with a bit of walking around, I don't think people are going to go for it. I think people will be really, really, really disappointed by that. So they need to add something to it. That's about it. I think that's E3. Anything else? Cyberpunk. Anything we didn't see? Cyberpunk 2077.
Nothing from Cyberpunk. Nothing from Red Dead Redemption.
No.
Nothing from. What's another thing I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was now. One thing we didn't really cover too much was Shadow of Middle Earth, Shadow of War.
Shadow of War, of course.
That looks really good.
It does.
Looks good on pretty much everything.
Yep.
Got a little bit more of a push on the Xbox One X than anything else.
Yes,
although it's not exclusive, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
So
it was weird that they actually used it in their reveal trailer. Like their proper trailer had Shadow of War in it. I was quite surprised by that they were using a third party game that's being very, very heavily pushed on PC and even PS4. So yeah, that was pretty surprising. And it looks really, really good though.
Yeah, it does indeed.
The only thing I'm worried about that game is what I think I was talking about the other day is that I feel like some orc underlings are going to be forced on you. And they're going to have the extra special lines of the big guy who's quite funny and all that kind of thing. And I don't feel it's going to be like raising a underling who has been with you since the beginning of the game, sort of thing, and raising him up through the ranks is going to be overshadowed by these cool kind of guys that you can go and just grab, sort of thing. You know, So I hope they kind of balance it out and they have a really good kind of smart artificial intelligent kind of narration system to keep these kind of ones that you raise up from babies up to cool.
I hope they hire more voice actors because they got sick of sort of hearing the same voice, same three voices repeated. I hope to hire a fair more people with a fair more sort of varied voices to do more. Just more variation and more sort of, apparently from all the other stuff I've seen for it, with the Nemesis system, there's more weaknesses, there's more strengths, there's more everything. There's tribes that come in which have different strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see when it eventually comes out this year, sometime in October. It'll be interesting to see how much more it's been impacted from everything I've seen so far. It seems like it's leaps ahead of the previous one so much. Just expands on it so much more and gives you more on the skill tree, more fast travel, more travel, better combat. It just sort of improves on everything the first one did. And the first one was a bit of a sleeper hit. No one really expected it to do it. And I think I remember read an interview done by Troy Baker, who's the voice of Talion, and he said that if Monolith failed at Shadow of War, that was it for the studio. They were having to shut down if it didn't take off.
So it saved them.
Took off massively. It's like gangbusters. It sold a ton of the games.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, hence why Monolith's still doing the second one. So, I think there's that pressure on them where they have to do better than the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this game could still tank, I think, from here. One thing
I don't think it will. I think
it'll sell very, very well, but it has the ability. since the beginning, I've been wondering if you'll be able to fight other kind of armies, like rather than just being orc on orc sort of thing. If you'll be able to do orc versus human, obviously you won't be able to probably bring them into your ranks or anything like that. Probably because they'll do like a whole you can only control orcs because they're easily controlled and that kind of thing. But I hope you'll get to fight other kinds of battles. Just to kind of give it a bit more.
Variation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, variation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Different any parts could be really different.
Exactly.
Before E3, there was a trailer for Fortnite, which looks pretty interesting. Looks like zombies matched with Minecraft.
Yep.
So looks very interesting. And that's been in the works for like, I don't know, the last 4 years.
Yep. Who is that developed by?
Vaporware. It's Epic Games, the guys who did Gears of War. It's a sort of new thing they're doing because they don't own they can't do any more Gears of War because they got
taken away from them.
Took it to whoever's doing Gears of War now. It's a Microsoft studio, so they had to go do something.
All right.
And then after E3, of course, Atari announced that they're trying to
holy crap
console business.
Yes,
it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm okay with it if it's going to be good. I think like we were talking about it today, and if they go too low a scale, if they try and replicate the Nintendo, then they're going to fail. Yep. If they go too high end, if they try and beat what the Xbox is doing, I think they'll fail because they'll have to bring it at a high price point. So I think they'll probably be best aiming for the specs kind of thing of maybe a PS4 Pro or something like that. I really hope it's not going to be like just a shitty Sega, like a retro kind of console or anything like that.
Like the mini NES or mini Sega.
Yeah.
Coming out later this year, I think.
Yeah, I really hope it's not anything like that. I really hope it's a full-blown console. And I mean, why not? I mean, the Atari's been under the radar for so long. I don't know what even they're doing anymore. Actually, I don't know who.
Nothing from Rogan himself.
Maybe they've just been in like deep R&D for this actual project. Maybe.
Well, I did read something saying that they are working with PC company to do something decent.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll soon find out sometime this year or maybe next year.
Yeah.
Depending to what's actually involved with it. They could be shooting for something that challenges the PlayStation and the Xbox, which good luck to them. I don't know if I actually take off. It might hit the nostalgia button for people.
Exactly.
So people might buy the thing out of it's Atari. I remember those from when I was a child. So it might hit that button. But if they actually take off or not, different question entirely.
If it can play any game on the market, obviously other than like exclusives and that kind of thing, then it'll be sure to at least do numbers.
If they do just Atari games only, it's going to be dead in the water. If it's like open to everybody and have some exclusive Atari exclusives and open to like, your Call of Duties and your whatnot.
Yeah.
It might take, but they probably won't sell like a million units. It'll be like, maybe 15 million units or 15. Yeah. Something along those lines.
So I really hope they don't fall for the same kind of trap that Nintendo's fallen for so many times, and just not gone out to those kind of third parties, and because that like exclusive sells consoles for sure, but everyone plays third party titles.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the safe bet to go for, really.
Yep. Get as many game developers on your side to make stuff for your system.
Yeah.
And more options for people means more people will probably buy it.
Yep. Thank you very much for enjoying, hopefully, our first Thinning Out Loud episode. We're going to do them every fortnight. Record on a Friday. I'll probably post them on a Monday after. The next one, 18th of June, is going to be the 2nd of July. So that'll be, or maybe the 3rd of July. And yeah, I mean, we're going to try and make this a semi-permanent thing. Probably get other guests, people on to talk about different things. We won't be talking about gaming every single week. We'll probably try and just talk about things that have happened in the world and that have
Random things that pop up.
that have just struck a chord with us, and we find interesting talking points. And I'm not going to guarantee an hour long kind of podcast every
Good conversation.
yeah, every time. But we're going to try and do a longer format. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully you enjoyed. And I'm going to say peace out, and
Peace.
we'll catch you later.